A former longtime NHLer and now ESPN hockey expert PK Subban went on X and ended up talking a bit about K'Andre Miller, kind of giving his thoughts on what he thinks K'Andre Miller can kind of achieve and become in the NHL and at this level. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at that quote and post on X here from PK Subban and really kind of dive into that and really talk about it and break it down, because I think what he says is kind of a lot of kind of what I've been talking about over the last while about K'Andre Miller. So let's kind of dive into it here, really break this down and kind of talk about how good and kind of how K'Andre Miller has done so far this season. Although, we're not too far into the season there, let's kind of talk about K'Andre in this video. So starting off here, we're going to take a look at the post on X from Subban, and he ended up saying, quote, "I still believe K'Andre Miller can become a top defenseman and one of the best complete players in the league, ... If he commits to a more demanding brand of hockey, he's got the tools, and now he's got to put them all together. Will he?" And I think that's kind of the big question right now with K'Andre, because you watch him play, you see that 6'5" size there. He's, over 200 and about 15 pounds or so. So this is a guy who's a massive player out there on the ice. He's very tall, very big, left-handed shot defenseman, still young, and his skating ability for a guy of his size, being 6'5", is quite phenomenal. Now, is he, the best defenseman skating-wise in the league? No, he's obviously not Cale Makar out there on the ice, but with that 6'5" size there, he is a phenomenal skater for being a player of that size there. So having that size, that skating ability, and, at moments, he can definitely show you that he could be, a true kind of top pairing, number 2, number 3 defenseman, worst case scenario possibly, or some kind of guy on that second pairing. But he also at moments shows you that he can be a liability potentially and that kind of stuff as well. So it really is kind of the inconsistencies with his game that I think we're seeing a little more of this year, unfortunately. But I think in general, he's still a very talented player. But like Subban says, he's got the tools and stuff to do it. He's got that talent, but can he put it all together here? And we've seen him do it at moments for stretches, but he's obviously a guy who has shown to be very inconsistent, and that is the very unfortunate part, because he has everything to become a true, I would say top pairing or at least top 4 caliber defenseman, full-time, because obviously he is on our second pair for the most part there, kind of that second pairing kind of guy, and he has that talent and is that talented of a player. But it's the inconsistencies that at moments makes him look like more of a bottom pairing guy or, a liability at moments. But he also has these flashes when he's, just skating back so fast, using his long reach there to poke the puck away, make a nice stick check, whatever it is, make a great defensive play with his size and skating ability. But he also has moments there where he just kind of gets cooked, honestly, and kind of looks a little lost out there. Or he is obviously a guy who, as Rangers fans, we all know for the most part there, he is a fairly soft player, even though he is that 6'5", 215 pounds or so. He can definitely get pushed off the puck there a little too easy, can be a little too soft out there on the ice. So he definitely has quite a few things to work on, but he also has quite a few things that he is very good at. But it's being, trying to become a more consistent kind of player out there on the ice and really kind of take away some of those inconsistencies and just kind of become more of a complete player full-time. Because like I said, he's got that talent. He has everything to become that great of a player, but it's about putting it all together and doing it at a more consistent level. And taking a look at some of the offensive numbers and kind of what he's done so far this season offensively, it really hasn't been great. He ended up having a really good 2022-2023 NHL season with the Rangers there, and in his third season at the NHL level, ended up putting up, 79 games played there, 9 goals, 34 assists for 43 total points, put up some great numbers offensively and looked really good in that aspect. But then you take a look there at what he did last season in 2023-2024. Once again, took a bit of a step back there, having 80 games played, 8 goals, 22 assists, 30 points. Like, obviously that's not bad, but it is a pretty big step back there after the previous season having 13 more points in 1 less game played. That's a pretty big drop-off there. And then you take a look at what he's done so far this season, and it's really not looking too great offensively. Now, defensively, he's definitely still showing the flashes, and same thing with offensively. But this season, like I said, I think he has been quite inconsistent and really has kind of shown a lot of those inconsistencies, as he only has, so far this season, 13 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 total points. And unfortunately, I am recording this video a bit before the Jets game against the Rangers tonight, so I don't have the actual updated stats fully, but assuming he doesn't go out there and have some insanely good offensive game, he's probably going to be around, let's say, maybe at most, 3 points maybe in 14 games played, assuming he doesn't have some crazy nights. So either way, his numbers offensively are just not looking too great so far this season. And I think, hopefully kind of get back towards that 2022, 2023 year where he ended up putting up some phenomenal numbers. I mean, 43 points in 79 games played for, at that time, a, 23-year-old defenseman. He was like 23-year-old in that season there. That is amazing. But then he obviously took that big step back last season, 13 less points in one more game played. And then this year so far is not off to a great start offensively. So that's kind of the question mark there. Can he get a little more consistent and kind of do it for a longer period of time, kind of like he's done in the past for a bit there? So it's kind of interesting as well. And you really take a look kind of his contract as well. He does become a restricted free agent this upcoming offseason with arbitration eligibility. So, if the Rangers and him can't come to an agreement, they can go to kind of a middleman there to kind of help sort out that deal. But I think it's going to be interesting to kind of see what contract he does end up receiving, because if he doesn't turn things around here and he's just really kind of still showing those inconsistencies and all that kind of stuff there, do the Rangers look to possibly try and move on from him and get as much value back in return as they can right now? Obviously in the offseason, possibly that definitely could happen. Or do they obviously still want to kind of, try and sign up to a midterm deal, a short-term deal, maybe a long-term deal, and really kind of try and bank on that value eventually kind of rising? I mean, we'll have to wait and see kind of what Keandre wants to do for a deal-wise. Obviously, kind of truly how he plays for us this season here will have a massive impact on kind of what this deal ends up becoming. But I would imagine it's still going to be a short-term deal, especially if he does not play great, because the Rangers would not want to lock him up too long-term, I'd imagine, if he obviously doesn't really kind of turn things around and continues to play like this. So we'll have to wait and see kind of what does happen. But I think overall, I'd imagine Keandre Miller, either way, does sign a 2-3 year deal at the most. That's kind of my guess there, but you never know. I definitely could be wrong. It would not be the first time. And I do think there is a chance we do see him traded away, and I would not be against that. It just kind of depends what other teams still value him as. Because if he does have, a kind of a bad season here and does kind of continue on the pace that he's at right now, it doesn't put out some great numbers offensively, still showing a lot of inconsistencies, how much does other teams really trying to kind of value him here, obviously, because he is a guy who is still young. I mean, he's 24, turning 25 in January. But he's at that point where if he doesn't really start to turn things around, he might just be this kind of a player, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's obviously not that kind of true top pairing kind of guy, which he definitely has the potential to be. So hopefully he does turn things around here and it really kind of gets back towards that kind of trajectory of possibly being the top pairing kind of guy. I mean, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it is still possible he could become that kind of number 2 possible level kind of guy, but he definitely has a long way to go to really kind of being at a more consistent level. And that top end talent there, he's got that, but it's all about being more consistent, in my opinion. But anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Definitely comment down below your thoughts on that post on X from PK Subban and kind of what he talked about there, and how, Keandre, he has that talent, obviously, but it's about kind of putting it all together there and doing it at a more consistent level. So let me know your thoughts on Keandre Miller, on what Subban said, and what do you want to see his next contract become? And do you want to see Keandre Miller traded away, possibly in a deal to get a top 6 forward back in return, or a top 4 caliber defenseman? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I appreciate all the support that you all show. This channel has been buzzing lately, and I really want to thank you all so much for that. I enjoy making these videos so much for all you, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Truly, I really do appreciate it. I'm a Rangers fan just like all you out there, so thanks for watching. I'll catch you next one, and let's go Rangers, and hopefully we end up getting a big win against the Jets here tonight. Obviously, you don't know as of right now recording this video, but I'm sure we'll get it done against the absolute red-hot Winnipeg Jets. We're just on an absolute heat right now. Hopefully we can kind of slow them down a bit there. Thanks for watching, though. I'll catch you next one. See ya.